How do you best prepare for a job interview?
Yeah, I mean, Paul, it comes down to if you have two people, the person that makes the best personal connection with you, okay, you're going to lean that way. Okay. And so we teach them how to create that chemistry and that rapport, the things they have to do, right? That's step one. Step two, I tell them people go into interviews assuming they know exactly what the company is looking for. And that's based on maybe what the recruiter has told them. It might be based on a job description, right? But in reality, if you're interviewing with multiple people, you're interviewing with someone from human resources or talent acquisition, you're going to interview with your direct boss, you might interview with a peer, you might interview with one of the senior executives. Each one of those people are going to have a little twist on what's most important to them, right? So they have to be taught on how to ask the question to find out what's most important to that person that they're interviewing with. So we teach them how to do that. And how I set them up for is I say, listen, let me ask you a question. You're taking a test in school. If you had the answers to the test before the test, how much better would you do? Right? Let me teach you how to get the answers to the test. All right? Now, the third part of every interview, they're going to ask a number of questions. Now, there's different ways that companies have been trained to interview. There's behavior-based interviewing. There's other dimensions, right? They need to understand how to prepare to answer those questions. So the book will take them through exactly how they need to prepare. And if the question is asked a certain way, what type of interview that the person is conducting on you, right? So we take them through that. The other piece of it is you have to be able, like, young people get really mixed up if someone asks a question as simple as, tell me about yourself. You know, there's a certain way to answer that question. It's not, well, I have a puggle, I play pickleball on weekends. You have to know how to answer that, right? Another basic question that they throw out at you. Why are you interviewing with us? What was it about our company that attracted you? Well, you got to be able to come back very specifically because your response to those simple questions could determine whether you even get invited back to a second. And then you have to be able to ask, in my opinion, win-win questions. And this is one of the things I want to tell you, Paul and Paul. If you go to the website, if any of your listeners, they can download a free chapter on the types of questions you should ask in an interview. Let me give you a quick scenario with that. My son had a good friend, and this kid was a bright kid, went to one of the top engineering schools in the country, was graduating with a 3.6 GPA. If you met him, he looked like he walked out of GQ magazine, right? He had 9 interviews and no offers. And you have an engineering degree from this school, from Penn State, he should have gotten multiple offers. So my son asked me, Dad, will you spend a couple of minutes and just help him? And I said, take me through your last interview. Well, he was asking what I call win-lose questions, right? I'm like, he asked one company a question. I noticed your stock price has been declining. Can you tell me why? Right? He asked another interview. The CEO online, he found that the CEO had some sexual harassment charges against him, right? And I'm like, listen, I don't want you to take any job without having all your questions answered, but there's a time and a place, right? I want to teach you how to ask win-win questions, right? So remember, your job is to get the offer. So I take them through that. Now, real quickly, the fourth part of it is everyone who conducts any type of interviewing always has some sort of concerns about the person they're interviewing. Sometimes the concerns is the person's overqualified, Paul. Sometimes the concerns is the person's underqualified. The only time you should get concerned is when there is no concerns, because they're the buying signals. You need to understand before that interview is over what concerns they have in their mind, and you need to get comfortable in how you ask that question. And then if the concern is false, I teach them how to address it and overcome it and get agreement it's no longer a concern. But if it's real, how to minimize it and maximize their strengths, right? And then the fifth step is you need to understand the next steps, and you need to be able to ask professionally so you understand where you sit. I have so many people walk out of an interview and they tell me, how'd it go? It went great. and you don't hear anything for 3 weeks. You know why? The person has 4 or 5 more interviews, right? I want you to leave that interview knowing how you did and what the next step is so you can manage the follow-up. So that's really quick, but there's 5 different chapters that takes them through. And like I said, this is a skill. Think about it. In chess, it's called a grandmaster. In sports, it's called a Hall of Famer or an Olympian, right? In science, it might be the Nobel Prize. I want especially young people, to develop interviewing skills that they're a grandmaster. And why is that so important? When they find that job they're passionate about and they're competing for it, the better they are at interviewing, the better the opportunity is to get the offer. And number 2, the better you are at interviewing, the better the job you can get and the better the compensation you can bring in for yourself and your family. So hopefully that answered the question.